Welcome back. Shit. Promise I'm not doing anything dirty on bed. Okay, we're gonna start here. Are we both in the, what is it called? Are we both in the picture? That's not what they, are we both in frame? Are we both in focus? And welcome back to this week's episode of the Broken Kid Podcast. I'm your host, Alex Silva. And today we have a special guest, Chucky, but not for long because this is not a review of Chucky or anything related to Scream. In fact, this is related to Scream, but not exactly the movie. More exactly catering to that of my recent movie-going experience to watch what I thought was pretty good. It was, there's a review in it. You can go watch it. It's somewhere in the links and click on it or look it up. I really don't care. I'm not making any money off these videos. But anyhow, relating to my Scream 7 movie-going experience, I had this unfortunate experience where I decided to ask out that one friend, that one kid that nobody wants to fucking hang out with, or not kid, but you know what I mean, like that one person that nobody fucking likes because they're such a moron and they're idiotic and retarded. Well, anyhow, I had no, because essentially I go to In-N-Out a lot, and I'm a regular there, and I know everybody, and let's just jump right into it. Look, I knew this kid was an Indian. He was an Indian kid, and he was rejected by his parents, and he's bisexual, confused as hell, and that's not the problem. The problem is he was telling me about all his mental health issues, and I was like, hey, you want to hang out and go see a movie? And it was kind of like when you're in a everybody knows that, has seen that scene in a movie where the cool kid asks out the awkward kid reluctantly. It was kind of like this. Look, he was telling me about his stuff, and he was walking away, and I was like, oh, shit. And I was walking away, and I turn around, and I'm like, oh, fuck. Wait. I was like, wait, Raj. And in my head, I'm thinking, I'm probably going to regret this. My internal dialogue is, are you sure? And for some reason, I went straight for it. So, and I said, hey, you want to hang out this weekend and watch Scream 7? And his response was like, oh, I don't know, is this scary? It's like, no, it's not. It's Scream. Have you not seen any of them? So anyhow, fast forward, we show up, we go see the movie, we're watching it. And, this is a bit of a spoiler talk about the movie. But anyhow, I'm telling him, before the movie starts, I was like, hey, every time, a lot these movies, they always start with a murder scene. It's always like a blonde girl with big tits getting killed. And, everybody who's seen it has seen the opening sequence for Scream 7, which was really fun and just energetic. And, although she wasn't, size is subjective about her bazookas, but it doesn't really matter. Anyhow, we all know what happens. Boyfriend dies, girlfriend dies, boom. And then I looked to him and I said, see, I told you. And he was like, oh, well, technically the guy died first. I'm like, you motherfucker. You are... First of all, you should be blessed to be hanging out with somebody like me who's cool enough. Second of all, I'm about to turn this whole theater into its own goddamn horror movie if you keep making comments like that. So we watched the movie, and so forth. So it ends, and about the last 15% of the movie was disappointing because Stumacher was not in it. They were using AI bullshit, which we all kind of thought was going to happen, but I didn't think it was actually going to be him that was going to be a fake. I thought it was actually going to be him in flesh. And, we're done with the movie. We're walking out, and I was like, we were talking about how he liked it or not. And this whole time, he was like, man, it was really it was scary. I had to close my eyes for some parts, but then I opened them up and I was okay. I'm like, you don't. And let me remind you, this guy is bisexual and he's been kicked out of his house for being that, which is, I don't have an issue with it. But if he was my son, first of all, I wouldn't kick him out because of his sexuality. And that's just not right. I'd kick him out for being a fucking idiot. That's what I'd kick him out for. And it's like, come on. And it was there was a few making out scenes. And I'm like, thank God. I was surprised I didn't. Because look, later, I'll explain why I was thinking this. because something later on shortly happened. But I'm surprised I didn't have to cover his eyes. Or maybe if I ever watch a movie with him, I'm gonna cover his eyes during any, even if it's just kissing or holding a hand, because this motherfucker does not know how he was born. Because as we're leaving the theater, we're walking out, and in the back there's like a few staircases, right? And it's very like covert and hidden, and there's I'm walking, and he's to the right of me, and we're walking, and I look to the right, and I see these two 15-year-old kids. They look like 15, I don't know, and they were about to do what 15, what they were gonna do at night behind it was hidden, it was dark. You can imagine where I'm heading at, and I see it. I like look, and I quickly look away because I'm like, okay, don't say anything, because it's about principle. If you just move on, okay, it's okay, nothing. And also, I was very grateful that I didn't see any actual exposed region, because then that would have been worse, because that meant I would have been seeing, it's never good to see exposed regions of an individual that are private, of any age, but especially because they were so young, and it would have just been me imposing myself on or it would have been me impeding their privacy, which when you're doing stuff like that in public, you don't have a lot of privacy. But still, I was the older person. I know how to conduct myself and just move on and grant them their space, because I'm sure they weren't going to do look, as inappropriate and crude as it could be. This is the real world. Sex is real. Sex is reality. It's gonna happen. But with him, God, he sees it. He's like, oh, oh my God, did you see that? I'm like, you fucking ain't. And the poor couple, the poor kids. I saw them from my peripheral. I don't even think I saw them. I think they were like, ooh. And they didn't even get up. They just stayed there. They were just like this. I think from what I saw, they were just like this. And I said, look, I was like, yeah, look, it's a good thing we didn't see any skin, because that would have been, we would have seen public regions or private regions of private regions of underage people. And like I said, regardless of age. And I was like trying to talk him down, and he's like, well, he's like, well, when I was their age, I never did it, and man, I always wanted to, but man, I didn't even look it up on the internet. And I was like, man, he was like, man, those kids are like 3 years old. And I was like, Raj, calm down. And I was like, look, we didn't see any skin, and it's like, people do this. What I was thinking of doing is pulling him aside and slapping the goddamn idiot out of him and slapping some sense into him. Because I'm like, fool, you're of age. You are legal. Do you not know how you were born? It was almost like I wanted to give him the birds, and I was giving him like a portion of the birds and the bees talk. And it's like, you damn fool. You were made the same way that they were about to do whatever they were gonna do. Your parents made you by sucking and fucking, and for some reason they didn't use contraception, and for some reason they didn't use abortion. And when you were born, and they found out you were such a disappointment fuck up of a child, they didn't decide to take you to the fire station and drop you off there. And I was like, my God, you are just, I was like, if you, and then I decided to light up a cigarette because I was smoking one. He's like, I'm gonna go over here so people don't think I'm underage smoking. I'm like, you motherfucker. You know it's tobacco, right? Not marijuana, not fucking heroin, not crack. It's none of that. So it's like, you're allowed to smoke a cigarette. And then he would do this thing where he's like, I was like, do you want to sit down just so we can talk? He's like, not really. And he would walk around, and he would do this thing where he'd be like this, walking it was obviously a little further because it was outdoors. But I'm like, what the fuck? Are you going uppers? Did you take crack or some shit? And now you can't stand still? And then he was like, oh my God, this poor boy. He's like, usually I'm against this, but this boy has to do drugs. If I could, I would give him a bag of my own goodies and be like, take them, lock yourself up, and watch. I'll give you a list of movies that you should watch that will expose you to a wider vocabulary a wider range of vocabulary, so you're not just like whenever somebody says some word you don't know, like cunt or some shit. Like, you gotta compose yourself better. And like, this man should not be left alone with a girl, with a girl at all, ever. And this boy, he was like, he was telling me, he's like, you're just chronically single. I was like, wait, he was telling me I can't pull any tail. Look, there's a difference between choosing to be single because you haven't met anyone of interest, or no one piques your interest. And then there's a difference between like being a virgin, and you'll play Dungeon and Dragons, or whatever the hell that shit's called. You might as well have virgin on your forehead, motherfucker. So don't come at me with that. And it's like, God, if he was my son, I would chain him in my shed and just feed him like slop of food, like all of the leftovers. And I would chain him up, especially when like we have guests over. Be like, hey, I tell like my wife or my kids, the good kids, I'd be like, hey, take Raj. Well, I'd be like, take Raj to the back, chain him up, and feed him some fucking tuna. Like, just slap some tuna, some fish or whatever. But there's two things that my kids are not gonna be. They're not gonna be pussies, and they're not gonna be boring. I'll leave it at that. And that was my Scream 7 movie-going experience. Had I wish I'd gone with somebody else? Absolutely. Do I wish I could go back in time like Huey Lewis? Better be back in time. Yes, I wish I had a DeLorean to go back in time and watch it with a cute girl that I have a crush on, that I actually currently do. Do I suggest stop doing noble acts? Yes, because then they're going to get you in this situation. That being said, be smart, stay frosty, and do not be noble to people you think you shouldn't be. Do not be noble just out of kindness. That being said, we're logging off the Broken Kid Podcast.